Alright guys, so I guess I got a few of you stirred up on Facebook earlier, so I'm not going to try to drag this out too far. As I'm sure you know from the title, I was actually offered a position in an upcoming Motortrend television show, which I turned down today. So I just want to kind of start by saying this, guys. I do not have Motortrend streaming. And it's not because I can't pay for it. I mean, shit, we've got Peacock, we got Hulu, we got Netflix, like we got all that crap. Motortrend is not something I have. And there's a reason I don't have it. And the main reason I don't have it is because they simply don't have any shows that appeal to me anymore. One issue that I've had with Motortrend, and you can probably tell just because of the style of builds that we do here on the Bad Luck Garage YouTube channel is, you know, I'm more lean toward the budget stuff. And by budget, I don't mean like rock bottom, do it the absolute cheapest you can. What I mean is doing stuff on a working man's budget. Like if you've got a decent job and maybe a little credit, you know, you can build anything we build on this channel in the same time frame or even faster than we get it done. And Motortrend, they really don't have any shows that do that. As a matter of fact, in the history of Motortrend, the only show I've ever seen that actually did anything close to a true budget build would be Roadkill. And Roadkill was kind of hit and miss for me because on the one hand, they would just do these totally just junk garbage builds. Most of them weren't even really what I would consider fast. And then on the other hand, they would still build some stuff that, you know, most people like me couldn't afford to build. So they would kind of go from one extreme to the other on their projects on Roadkill. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that show. I really like, you know, how Finnegan and Freiberger work together. I think, you know, I thought they meshed really well. But other than that show, nothing that I've ever seen on Roadkill that said it was budget has been budget. They'll usually say something like, today we're going to show you how to do a budget LS swap. And then they'll either go buy a freaking $7,000 crate engine, or they'll go to the junkyard and they're like, we pulled this 6-liter LQ4 from the junkyard, but it's got 105,000 miles on it, so we're going to tear it apart and completely rebuild it and spend way more money than we fucking have to because, you know, if you mess with LS engines at all, you know that 100,000 mile LQ4 that they just tore apart and spent $2,000 or $3,000 more dollars on for no reason still had 200,000 miles left in it. And hell, that's if you threw a turbo on it and a bunch of nitrous. I mean, point is, guys, there's no real budget show that I've seen on Motortrend television. The only other show other than Roadkill that I've seen on Motortrend that I actually like is, you know, Derek from Vice Grip Garage. He's doing that show now. What is it? Roadworthy Rescues or something like that. And I've only seen one episode of that, and that's because it was free on YouTube. But the thing about that show is Derek gets to be Derek. Derek gets to, I mean, basically it's just an extension of his YouTube channel is the way the episode that I saw was. I mean, he was basically doing the exact same thing he does on his YouTube channel, but he's doing it on television now. And like I said, Derek gets to be Derek. And if Robert was going to do a TV show, Robert would want to be Robert. Because I don't really know how to be anything other than me. So I didn't want to put on this persona, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and be all about these, you know, this high budget build over here, building these brand new engines and all that. That's just not me, guys, and I just couldn't do it. That kind of leads me to why I turned down the show that was propositioned to me. So rewind about 3 weeks ago, and I want to tell you guys this story because if you are a YouTuber and you get an email similar to this, you know, just know it might not be a scam. It might be the real deal. This one was. I received an email from a producer out in Los Angeles. Honestly, guys, I don't even really want to say their names. They're two producers. I don't really want to say their names. And I don't really want to get into really specifics about the show, because this is a show that, you know, I'm sure they've got other people on YouTube, or maybe not on YouTube, you know, that they're lining up for this show, and I don't want to give anything away, if that makes sense. I didn't sign any confidentiality clause or anything like that. I just don't want to give it away. All right, but basically, I got an email that invited me to a meeting with this producer. Now, of course, I thought it was a scam, so I looked at it for a couple days, and I started researching this guy, and I come to find out he was responsible for a lot of shows that, you know, me and the wife watch on Discovery Channel, and you know, on some other like History Channel. So he was responsible for some of these shows, and you guys have probably heard of some of these shows. I know you have, as a matter of fact, because they're pretty big shows. Anyway, at that point, I knew that the person was legit, but I wasn't sure if I was actually speaking to that person. But they wanted to have a Zoom meeting with me, and it would kind of be like an interview. So I thought, okay, well, it's going to be pretty hard to fake a Zoom call with someone that famous, because obviously I've already Googled their picture. I'm going to know who it is. So I went ahead and agreed to it, and we had a Zoom meeting, and then lo and behold, it wasn't just him, but it was another producer that I would say is even bigger than him, that's done even more shows than he has. So I started off already thinking I was going to be in this meeting with this big producer in LA, and I end up in a meeting with two producers in LA. So at this point, to say I was kind of blown away by the whole thing would be an understatement. And as they were telling me about this show and telling me what they wanted me to do, and going over things like filming scheduling, and, you know, how long it was going to take to do this, how long it was going to take to do that, and telling me I would have to fly to LA for a month, and then possibly fly to Colorado for a month, and then back to LA for a month. They're going over all this stuff, guys, and I'm kind of starstruck isn't the word. I was just kind of overwhelmed, because here I am, you know, 45 years old. I've got this YouTube channel that's not huge. I mean, you know, I've got about 28,000 subs, but I'm not huge by any means. And it just amazed me that they had gotten on YouTube and picked me, of all people, and they were offering me a chance to be on this new show that they were making. And without going into too many details, it was going to be a 4-man operation, and they were interviewing me for the mechanic slot. You know, there's going to be 4 guys on camera. You're going to have a fabricator. You're going to have a upholstery guy. You're going to have a designer. They wanted me for the mechanic position. So, you know, things went on. I talked to them, asked them a few more specific things about the show and what all it entailed. And when they told me about the show, I think I even said it in the interview. I was like, okay, that's not what I was expecting at all, because I kind of, as soon as they started talking about the show, I got the feeling like, yeah, they might have watched a couple of my videos, but these guys really don't know what I'm about at all, because what they're asking me to do was basically the complete opposite of everything I've done and talked about my entire life when it came to building hot rods and things like that. But I decided to be open-minded, and what they wanted to do is they wanted me, they were supposed to get back a hold of me a week later, and if I was good with everything, we were going to do a casting reel, which I don't know what all that entails, but basically they were going to get footage of me, fresh footage, plus some footage from some of my YouTube videos. They were going to edit it into a casting reel, send that to Discovery Channel, and I guess Discovery gets the final say-so, and, you know, whether or not they want to use me in the show. So I had a week to think it over, guys, and, you know, I was trying to balance. Like I said, I was overwhelmed, and I was kind of trying to make sense of things, because I already knew I would have to quit my job to do this, because no way can I just take off a month every other month, you know, for 2023. Like there's no way you can do that and keep your job. At least I can't. So I know I was going to have to quit my job. I believe the compensation would have probably been there for me to do that, but it wasn't just about the money. It was also about insurance. One of my kids has a chronic illness. I mean, you know, we've got to make sure he's got insurance and stuff like that. And the more I started going over this in my head, the more it just seemed like it would be a nightmare. Like, I don't like to spend that much time away from my family, and I wouldn't be moving to Los Angeles. I would just be flying there for a month, then flying home for a month, then flying there. And the more I thought about it in my head, like, I don't want to spend all this time away from my family. I mean, we've got, you know, my youngest daughter is still in high school. She's got competitions and events I would miss because the time of the year they wanted to do all this filming is like right in the peak part of her competition season. And, you know, homecoming, all this stuff that I would most likely miss. So that was one reason that I was leaning towards not doing it. But the biggest reason, and I'm not trying to be all self-righteous or anything, but the biggest reason I decided not to do it is because it just wasn't me. So basically, and again, I don't want to go into a bunch of details. I don't want to, you know, ruin anything for these guys. I'm sure this show is going to be probably pretty big. It's a lot different than what you're used to seeing on Motortrend, but it is a complete 180 from what you're used to seeing on this channel. Basically, what they were wanting me to do is to help them build these just unobtainable, I believe is the word that they use, these unobtainable one-off vehicles. And I don't know, guys, like when they were first talking about it, I was like, how awesome would it be to be able to just go to this garage, get paid for it, and keep in mind, I don't even care. I couldn't give two shits about being on TV. It was just the whole being part of this thing, you know, where I can just go in and I can say, okay, I want to use this drive, you know, this transmission, this engine, this rear end, blah, blah, blah. And these guys just go out and get it, bring it to me. And, you know, I put it in these totally custom built vehicles. I mean, that would be pretty cool. But then I started thinking about it and I was like, man, I would feel like a total hypocrite every single time I got up in the morning and went to do that job. Like, I would just feel like a total hypocrite because my whole life has been about, you know, doing things I can afford. And all I've ever helped people do is to learn how to build things they can afford and build things on a budget. And then here I'm going to be on this Motortrend show doing the same shit that I complain about all the time that they do on these television shows, which is build stuff that the average guy just can't freaking have. And that all kind of went in and mixed with the whole situation with not wanting to spend time away from my family, or not wanting to spend that much time away from my family. By the time it came time to set up to do the casting reel, I'd already made my decision. And so I ended up just emailing them back, and, you know, I wrote this not long email, but I wanted to make sure that they understood that, you know, I thought the show was a good idea for the masses. It's probably going to be a hit, guys. It probably will, and if it goes into production, if it comes out, I'll let you guys know that was the show. I'm sure they've got other people that they're probably looking at right now to fill that mechanic spot. So I just want to say, guys, if you're another YouTuber and you're watching this and you've gotten an email from someone named Jacob, if you've gotten an email, it might not be spam, guys. You know, check into it, especially, I know on the email he sent me, it had the studio name, it had his, you know, his email, their address, it had his phone number. You know, don't throw that away. If that's something you think you're interested in, I'm not telling you not to do it. I mean, it's going to be a great opportunity for someone. And to be honest, the show, it's probably not something that I personally would enjoy watching just because of the whole unobtainable thing. But you know, the other shows that where they build like these really nice cars and stuff, I mean, they've got really good viewership. That's why they keep doing them. So yeah, guys, if you get an email like that, check into it. You know, holler back at Jacob, and hell, tell him I told you to do it. I don't care. But the bottom line is, everything's not a scam. I thought this was a scam. It ended up being probably the opportunity of a lifetime, and you guys are probably going to call me a dumbass for passing on it. But those are my reasons why, guys. It's mainly I felt like I would feel like a hypocrite doing it. It's just not who I am. You know, and I even though it would have kind of been a cool opportunity to have that experience, I would have had to quit my job to do it. So then if something didn't work out and they didn't call me back for a season 2, then I would have been, you know, I would have been out here looking for a job again. So just not something I wanted to put my family through right now. And honestly, it's just I just didn't want to do it, guys. That's the bottom line. Initially, I did, and I thought, you know, this is so amazing, this is so cool. But after thinking through it, I just didn't want to do it. I mean, that's it. They weren't asking me to do anything that I'm not capable of doing. They were just asking me to do something that was not me, and that I don't really feel like represents who I am. And to some of you, that might seem like a stupid reason to turn down something that probably could have. I don't, you know, I don't even think it would have blown this channel up, really, because what I would have been doing wouldn't have translated to this channel at all. So I think 2 things would have happened in regards to the Bad Luck Garage YouTube channel if I would have done this show. First thing that would have happened is probably a lot of my loyal viewers on this show would have instantly thought I was a sellout, which honestly I would have been. To do a show like that, I would have called me a sellout. I definitely would have. But I probably would have lost more viewers than I gained, because the people who saw me on that show and then maybe found out that I had this channel would have came to this channel, and they would have been like, oh, well, this isn't like the show at all. Like, this is nothing like the show. And they probably wouldn't have stuck around either. So it just seemed like a lose-lose situation for me. Other than the experience of getting to do the thing, it was all negatives in my eyes. But anyway, that's the story, guys. That's what happened, and that's why I turned down the offer. So I do want to say, I'll just go ahead and say the producers' names, first names were Jacob and Jason. I just want to say I wish those guys the best of luck. I hope the show's a hit. I hope you've got somebody good instead of me, and that's pretty much it, guys. So we've got an engine to tear down. I'm going to get off here, and I've actually just went ahead and got my little mobile tool station set up and everything. I'm about to start tearing that down as soon as I finish this video, and you know, in preparation for doing the engine tear down video. So that's all I got for you guys. No fancy outro here, just get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.